Yes, that is absolutely gold.
I'm done.
All right, page 8, role of probability in society. So, probabilities, like if you read a news article or you listen to the radio, people are saying probabilities all the time. We talked about, hey, they tell you what are your chances of rain on the weekend, and you're like, should I cancel my camping trip or not? So we check probabilities, percentages to do our planning for weather forecasts, but they have it all over the place. People are doing studies all the time to try to make things predictable. And if we can make things predictable, then we have a better idea of what we should do. Should I buy a house? Well, statistics and probabilities say over time your house will go up in value and it'll be a better financial decision than if you make not buy a house. But if you're like, but I'm moving in a year, well, then it maybe doesn't make sense for you to buy a house. Yes.
Un ejemplo es el casino.
Casino? Yeah, and then there's also probabilities when you play lots of games. Lots of games on your phones, lots of games that you play with cards involve probabilities and percentages. And if you're good at them, you can predict your chances of winning more. So, daily decision making. So here's a list, daily decision making, right? Check the weather forecast, how busy traffic's going to be. So you know that certain times during the day traffic is busier, right? So if you need to get somewhere, what are the chances you'll get there on time based on that? And now we have programs like your phone figures out all of that probability and says it's going to take you longer to drive to downtown at this time of day versus another time of day. Medical professionals use probabilities to be like, how likely is it for a disease to happen? What are the risks? Right now, they're doing a lot of statistics and probability in math because there's an Ebola outbreak in Africa.
Yeah, very about that, John, bro.
And it's spreading like crazy. So now, if they don't do something, what are the chances that it does this? What are the chances it does this? So they're figuring out all of that math to try to contain that disease before it gets out of control. Finances, business, financial institutions are doing investment risks. Insurance companies do a ton of probabilities because they have to figure out how much do they charge you for fire insurance, right? So the idea of an insurance company is it says, well, if we charge $150 or 150 people $1,000 for fire insurance, then we collect $150,000. If probability says one of those houses will burn down, have we collected enough money? Because the insurance company has to pay for that whole house. So the way that insurance and those kind of things work is everybody pays into it. You hope your house doesn't burn down. But if somebody's does, you want them to be able to get their house back. That seems, so the person whose house burns down, they didn't pay enough money to get their house back. But the insurance says that's okay because we collected from other people who didn't need it so that we can fix the one that did. Same thing happens with the car insurance. Some people get into accidents, some people don't. Everybody has to pay the insurance, but they have to figure out mathematically how many cars do they predict to get into accidents? And then how much is it going to cost them? And that affects how much everybody pays for their insurance. And now we've got like AI figuring out stuff. It's doing a lot of the math for us to figure out how much things should be charged. And then the government. Have you ever heard of a poll before an election? That's like the statistics to find out who they think is going to win. It's not necessarily perfectly true, but it gets an idea. Right? I read the other day in a news article, because Alberta is doing a referendum to see if they should separate from Canada. I don't know if you heard about that.
I've been hearing it, but I think it's not real.
Well, it's
They're
real.
actually doing
It's maybe they're actually doing it, but
trying to do it.
but they did a poll in Alberta, and it's like the majority of people wouldn't want to do that.
Right.
So its likelihood of happening is very little. So we got all of these things where we use statistics and probability to help us make decisions. Right? So there's probability to make decisions. Sometimes you just make a decision based on how you feel. I think I'm gonna do this, I think it's gonna work well, and you're not using any math or statistics. Sometimes people call that a gut feeling. That's just your subjective feeling. Right? So for example of this is like, oh, I feel lucky today, so I'm gonna buy a winning lottery ticket. Because today I'm feeling lucky. And then when something like happens like that, does that mean that person have extra powers, or is it just a coincidence? Probably just a coincidence that those two things happened at the same time. Just like the magic tricks I showed you yesterday, it was just luck that all happened.
I missed magic.
No,
You missed
bro.
magic
Your chair was so cold, bro. We sparring all the water.
Let me feature show them.
Wait, can you show me?
Show us the trick.
Well, yeah, did you make the last one?
Last one is
Yeah, that-
I don't know if I have enough magic.
Yes.
Example 2. And we are going to hide these so you don't see them here. Decide whether each decision is based on theoretical probability. That's based on what should happen. Experimental probability, based on you did an experiment, looked what happened, and then base your decision on that. Or just a gut feeling, subjective.
Subject, judge.
All right. So you're listening to a song you dislike on the radio, because you feel the next song must be one of your favorites. All right. If there's a bad one on there, but you're like, oh no, next one's gonna be one of my favorites. Is that subjective, or is that experiment, or is that theoretical probability? That's a gut feeling. Yes. Okay. Subjective judgment. It is Kate's experience that 4 times out of 5,
Messages for me today.
the prize in a cereal box is found at the bottom of the box. Right? So she opens her cereal box, there's supposed to be a prize, and it's based on her experience that 4 times out of 5, the prize is at the bottom. So the next time she opens the box from the bottom. She basing her experience just on a gut feeling, on an experiment that she's done. That is experimental probability, because she's already checked it. From her experience, she found 4 to 5. So that is experimental probability. You guys are good at this. Michael decides to roll a 6-sided die 8 times. He rolls a 4 7 times in a row. That is highly unlikely, but possible.
I'm just trying to.
He predicts the 8th roll will likely not be a 4, since each number has an equal chance of being rolled.
You should roll dice right now.
Okay?
Brandon's not
Now-
gonna do it by J-Lo.
This one's tricky.
This one's tricky because if this part here,
Still a
since
feeling.
each number has an equal chance of being rolled, that's theoretical probability. If it had said, since he had already rolled a bunch of 4s, then he's got a gut then it's experimental, could be experimental or a gut feeling, right? But in this case, it is because it says since each number has an equal chance of being ruled, that is theoretical probability.
He's using the theory.
He's using the theoretical probability.
Yeah.
That's new.
So an engineer is assessing the safety of a new technology. Do you think they're using subjective judgment? Do you think they'd be using experimental probability, theoretical probability?
Bless you.
It's experimental.
Okay, experimental. Subjective judgment. I don't know, on this one, it depends, like, yeah, I can argue on this one a bunch of things. Cause if you is just looking at it and saying, does it look safe? Right, subjective. We need more information here, I feel, to really, cause we could argue, is he testing it with actual experiments? Then he would be using experimental probability. Did he use a computer model beforehand? And that computer model based on theoretical stuff? So I feel like this last one, definitely you could have some arguments. Okay.
Hostia,
Mhm.
¿y conoce las boxes Smash?
No. Sometimes when we make decisions, we take certain things for granted, and sometimes we make assumptions. Okay? Okay. So sometimes when we make decisions, we take certain things for granted. Sometimes we have biases built in to our thinking that make us make assumptions. Like there's sometimes, this is a riddle that some people couldn't solve sometimes because they had a bias. I'll give you a riddle, okay? In this riddle, there was a really bad car crash. And the ambulance arrived, and in the car was a father and a son. The father was driving, and he died immediately. And the son was in a really bad situation. And the medics arrived, and the first medic went to the car and said, I can't work on this situation. He's my son. How is that possible?
Wait, say that again. Wait, say it one more time.
Okay, so in this situation, there's a horrific car crash. The car had a father and a son in the car. The father was killed immediately, and the son was in a bad medical situation. And the medic came and looked at the situation and said, I can't work here because he's my son. So,
Could be the dad, and the dad would be the dad's dad.
no. So you've got an assumption in your head?
It's a father of son, like.
No, it is the boy's actual father, not your, so I've got your biases good in my head, I'm liking this.
Wait, I should.
Alright, how is this possible?
So there's a horrific car crash.
Horrific car crash has a
Son
father.
I don't wanna say
father-
it, I think I do.
There's a son
Fa-
and a dad.
Say it,
the
Yes,
dad
the
dies.
father and his son.
Medic
Say
said that the
it.
son is his son.
Yeah. And no, it said the medic comes and I said, I can't operate on him or work on him, he is my son.
The boy
Or the dad?
The dad, when they went, because the dad's dead, the only person they're working on is the son. And the medic comes in and says, I can't work on him, he's my son.
Oh,
You got it.
It's what?
it's a mom.
So the medic was a mom. So
we all thought
what,
that was-
but you get in your head certain biases. Certain professions are more men than women.
Oh,
And so you thought in your head when the medic arrived, you might have had a picture of a man arriving on the scene. And you had a bias, and you couldn't answer the question because your head got a bias in it.
Yeah, you thought it was the
No, it's not even why. I forgot
Yes.
about a mom.
Because we
I
love
actually forgot that people had
Yeah,
mom.
because,
Right?
yeah, because we're feminists, bro. We believe women can do it. Yes.
No,
Love
pero,
you, by the way.
y
Yes.
ajá, la question. Existen personas que tienen cabello como yo y también son rubios.
Okay. So sometimes we take things for granted and we don't recognize them, and then that can affect your chances of getting something. For example, I'm gonna pause the video here.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Crack that.
Oh, here's our next question.
You play Halo?
Hey.
Rosa needs to pick a hospital for her elderly relative to have surgery. This is terrible. This is terrible statistics. Out of the last 1,000 patients at Hospital A, 900 survived. That's not good percentage-wise. I would not like that. But in patients at Hospital B, only 800 patients survived.
800 patients for that.
I would be nervous going to either of these hospitals. Rosa picks Hospital A, thinking it's a better hospital. Is Rosa definitely correct? State some assumptions that Rosa is making. Well, based on the numbers, more people are surviving at Hospital A. So that seems like just based on that. Okay, but what are some assumptions that we are making?
Less deaths.
Okay. I'm kind of assuming both hospitals are doing the same thing, right? But I would be a little bit nervous, like if Hospital B was for cancer patients only, it kind of makes sense that 800 out of 1,000 surviving might be a really good number, actually, because cancer is a very bad disease. And if Hospital A was where people go if they break a bone, I would be really nervous about Hospital A. Because when you break a bone, do most people die? No. And they're saying that only 900 survived. So we're making assumptions that both of those hospitals are the same, doing the same thing. But if they're not doing the same thing, this might not be good statistics to use, right? Hospital A is where you go if you have an ear infection. And only 900 people survive, I would be really nervous. What are they doing? Okay? So some assumptions. She's just assuming based on the survival rate that it's better. But like we said, one hospital might have been for cancer, and actually 800 out of 1,000 people surviving. A cancer hospital will be like, we're the best in the world. But if either of those hospitals were like, we treat hangnails here, and you go in because you've got a little hangnail and you don't come out alive, I'd be a little nervous. What could possibly happen that a hangnail causes you?
Fingers instead of the hand.
Okay, example 4, here we go.
Sort of one of them.
Another. Right?
Yeah.
We talked about this one already. Here we go. Example 4.
No, there's fans.
A health magazine claims that people who exercise 3 times per week for an hour each time reduce their risk of heart disease by 40%.
Damn.
Stephanie plays soccer 3 times a week for an hour. As a result, Stephanie thinks she has reduced her risk of heart disease by 40%. State an assumption that Stephanie is making. So, the magazine claims that if you exercise 3 times a week for an hour, heart disease reduced by 40%. She plays soccer 3 times a week for an hour. She thinks she's reduced her state and assumption. Okay. Well, maybe she's assuming the magazine is correct. Could the magazine be wrong? Okay. Sometimes studies are done and the result is not actually the true result. Okay? For example, in the early, I don't know exactly the timing, but I'm going to say early 1800s, there was a study and they found out that if you owned an umbrella, you lived longer. And they did statistics and it was true. People who owned umbrellas lived longer
Live longer.
than people who didn't own umbrellas.
Not true.
It's not true, but the study and all the statistics said it was true.
It's called marketing.
Why? What do you think might have been the actual reason, not the umbrella reason?
Maybe they don't get struck by lightning.
Okay.
We got an umbrella and shit one of like sales.
What did you say?
They don't have like enough money to buy an umbrella, then like.
If you don't have enough money to buy an umbrella, you were poor, you also didn't eat as healthy a food, you didn't live in as sanitary a house, and as a result, you were more likely to have a health issue that caused you to die. Money was the issue, economic status was the issue, not the umbrella. But,
I got a really nice umbrella.
right?
Me too.
I have a gold umbrella.
So now, this study could be proven wrong because then all of a sudden, who doesn't have any money for food decides to not eat more food, live in a worse spot just so that they can buy an umbrella. And then they die, they die even earlier.
As long as it doesn't.
JR, this one here,
Mhm.
you have a minute, 30 seconds.
Yo, it has look, you hit the wall.
Okay, so they got that, this is,
What you get?
this is good. Right, they've got a lot of the idea, they just needed to say how to, they could buy up to 13 homes, and we want to do that, cause they're that.
Oh, would you give two?
One and a half.
Oh my God, exactly.
Alright, here's our next example. Fred sees a commercial about Colgate. Do you know what Colgate is?
Isn't that the bit?
It's toothpaste.
That's Matthew's only 0.5 off.
During a commercial, a person looking like a dentist claims 8 out of 10 dentists say they would recommend Colgate to their patient. As a result, Fred buys Colgate. State an assumption Fred is making. Right? Fred is assuming that 80% of all dentists would recommend. But this statistic could be untrue. They could have asked only 10 dentists and got 8 out of 10. They could be lying to you. Lots of advertisements tell things that aren't necessarily true. Advertisements also do this, right? If you were getting recommended to buy toothpaste and you had 2 choices, the dentist recommendation or your teacher with really, really bad breath recommendation. Which one holds more weight for you? You'd be kind of like, I'm gonna go with the dentist. Like, they use people who you think have more credibility to bias you to buy things. There's actually an ad on, I forget what it was for, and they were making fun of it. They actually said 9 out of 10 actor doctors recommend, and they called them all I'm not really a doctor, I'm just dressed up to be a doctor, but I recommend this product. And they're kind of making fun of it that way too. But it made me remember the commercial, but not the product, so I guess it didn't work with it. Awesome.
You can write the rest of that. You just gotta write like maybe then.
Just when I thought I was.
I know you're
finished,
close.
Like,
Oh, okay, now.
so you got enough people snapping you all the answers of their tests now?
Huh?
You finished? Teenagers are safe
I
drivers
didn't even hear you.
because they are involved in fewer total fatal accidents than drivers aged 25 to 34. So that, would you say this is a true statement? What assumptions is the person making who's making this statement?
Yeah, what if
Right.
they only wrote they can buy 13 dollars?
I have not heard of, sorry? What, they only roll what? The no
But
word?
they're not saying to show where.
That's right. They didn't say it. Oh, that one bugs me.
Is that me, Mr. Shirk?
1.5.
Mr. Shirk,
Show
Mr.
word.
Shirk, is that mine?
You know it's out of 2. That should show somewhere. Okay. Assumptions made in this one.
Yeah.
That was me?
Good thing.
Okay.
I knew you said divided.
Why would there be less teen drivers involved in accidents?
Stop that.
Maybe people are driving.
Yeah, like 13. How many 13-year-olds are getting into car accidents?
Mr. Shirk, did I do this?
They can't drive,
It looks
right?
like scribble.
So that would definitely skew
Well,
your.
yes, 'cause I mean, it's still handwriting, but I don't know if it
22.5.
should be that.
Out of 30.
Oh my god. I'm
Right?
so
So
stupid.
25 to 34, they drive way more. If you drive way more, your chances of accidents increase. And they've actually shown some statistical things based on this where they've made wrong decisions. Oh, I will tell you.